Welcome back to Financial Therapy. It's not just about the money. I'm personal financial planner, columnist, and financial therapist Rick Kahler. Research tells us that 90% of all financial decisions are made emotionally, not logically. For nearly 4 decades, I've been helping people make better money decisions. So what makes my financial worldview different from most financial experts? I blend the nuts and bolts of financial advice with the emotions that drive making them. Good money decisions are not just about the money. So let's get started with today's episode. Welcome back to another edition. This week, we're going to talk a little bit about who provides financial therapy and how can you find a financial therapist. And if we have time, kind of get into what to expect from financial therapy. We've talked about a lot that financial therapy actually officially came to be in about 2009, 2010, when the Financial Therapy Association was first formed, of who I was honored to be a founding member. Since then, the organization has grown, and it is probably one of the best sites or collection of those who actually provide or have an interest in financial therapy. Financial therapy is really quite a broad term. I've mentioned many times on the podcast that the financial therapy profession is not much different today than the financial planning profession was 40-ish years ago, maybe even 50. And to some degree hasn't changed in the terminology. Anybody can be a financial planner. It's not a regulated term. It's not a trademark term, although there is a movement underway by the Financial Planning Association to try and regulate the term. I don't know that they'll be successful. But today, anybody can call themselves a financial planner, just as anybody could 40 or 50 years ago. It's the same situation with financial therapy. Anybody can put financial therapist or I do financial therapy on their business card, although there's not too many of those these days, is there? That dates me. On their digital calling card, on their website, it's unregulated. So that gets down to you as a consumer needing to do some homework in answering that question when you're looking for financial therapy or financial therapist. Now, in the best sense of the word, in the ideal sense, financial therapy is usually provided by a professional that has expertise in both personal finance and emotional well-being. So in much of the same way that Russ Hudson teaches the Enneagram by starting at the top and the best qualities of a type and then goes down to the worst, I'll do the same here. Because if we have it locked in our mind what the gold standard is for a financial therapist, that's going to help kind of ferret out the chaff in the weeds. So the best scenario then when you're looking for a financial therapist, again, is a dual-credentialed professional. So what do I mean by dual credential? Well, just the term financial therapy, financial therapist, lets us know a person needs expertise in both realms, in the financial realm and in the mental health or therapeutic realm. So a professional that would hold, let's say, the Certified Financial Planner designation, CFP, or perhaps have a master's in financial planning, maybe holding the AFC accredited financial counselor, which many in the profession will view as somewhat of a CFP light. It takes maybe, I don't know, half the time, maybe half the knowledge, third the knowledge, say, as the CFP. But it certainly is a sign that the person knows the basics of personal finance. Combine then with a degree or training of some type that would let a person know that that the person also understands the thoughts, feelings, and beliefs of money, the emotions of money, the psychology of money. Now, certainly, if someone is a licensed therapist, that qualifies. That's the gold standard of the mental health or therapeutic side of financial therapy. It's interesting that, well, I don't know. I know when it comes to certified financial therapists, there's a few more that are heavier on the financial side than on the therapeutic side. Other things that could indicate the person has some training on the emotional side. Maybe if they're a certified coach, they could be a certified IFS practitioner, say, as I am. There's not too many certified IFS practitioners, but they're about 100. But let's go back to the gold standard. The gold standard is that they have a master's in counseling, master's in marriage and family therapy, or clinical counseling, mental health counseling, and have experience, which typically comes with the licensing. That's your gold standard. CFP, licensed mental health therapist. The tough thing about this is that there's very few professionals in the United States that have this combination. Why is that? Well, this is an emerging field. While it's the gold standard, it's not, I don't know a lot of people that set out to gain both of those. Usually they set out in either the mental health field or the financial planning field, got interested in the intersection of money and emotions, and then started getting education in the other field. It's a really hard combination. Because and just being really simplistic here, and some of you may push back at this a little bit, but just looking at the left brain and right brain, and if a person is drawn to logic and intellect and analysis, they tend to be more left brain dominant, as is the saying in our culture, and they do numbers, they do money pretty well. If a person is drawn to relationships and emotions and connection and really helping people therapeutically, those are more right brain activities, really being present, being centered. And what I have found is it is really the rare person that holds both of these spaces, that can accomplish both, holding all the financial data along with all the emotional data. And this is why back in the day when we first founded the Financial Therapy Association, the co-authors I was working with at that time and other professionals, mental health professionals, we really felt that financial therapy took two people. It took a financial planner and a therapist who had done their own work, either on their money issues or just their therapeutic issues, that could be in the same room with each other because they understood what each other did, and would work together in tandem, in conjointly, in partnership, so to speak, with a client. And then they could tag team and interact, and it was somewhat effortless then because you had the whole brain in the room. You had the left brain analytical person, you had the right brain relational person. Again, that's tough to have in one brain. I remember many years ago when I was talking about this at presentations I would give to especially financial planners, and telling them of the competencies that are needed to hold this space, and how I really thought it took two people. Roy Deliberto, who was quite well known in the Financial Planning Association and president at one time, I think maybe of the old IAFP, a study group member of mine at one time. He said, I don't know about your model of two people. That's a pretty expensive model. We like to think we can do that in one person. Well, I have no doubt that he did. And when we're talking about life planning, or financial life planning, as Roy liked to call it, that would be a financial planner who is aware of emotions, aware of how emotions affect financial decisions, who has done some of their own work around their emotional issues with money. And yet it's more of a coaching. Financial life planning is more of coaching. And this really brings in a nuance, because it all depends what you want or what you're looking for in a financial therapist. If you are looking for a coach, somebody that understands money and can look at the possibilities and work with you in a looking forward manner, well, a financial therapist who's a coach, a financial therapist, when I say who's a coach, I would mean really understands money, say as a CFP, and has a certification in coaching, or at least a lot of exposure, say, to motivational interviewing or appreciative inquiry. They can really fill that particular slot. So you may find that a financial life planner can really meet your needs for what you might call a financial therapist, and that person could certainly be a certified financial therapist, because to be certified as a financial therapist as it stands today, a person just has to have formal training or a certification in either the financial side or the mental health side, but not both. So there's where we start descending a little bit. If you can't find a financial therapist who is a licensed therapist and a CFP, which you probably will have a hard time finding. I don't know how many would be on the financial therapy website, but I'm going to guess maybe a half dozen. Maybe there's more, but I don't think so. So for this reason, the Financial Therapy Association said, it's such a broad continuum when you talk about financial therapy, of being all the way on one side, which say would be pure traditional financial planning, all the way on the other side, which would be traditional psychotherapy. And the Financial Therapy Association decided, maybe we can carve out the space in the middle. Maybe we can play between 3 and 8 or 3 and 7. I don't know which one works out numerically the best, but this middle area where you're not needing straight financial planning and you're not needing straight psychotherapy, it's a blend of it. So that's where the Financial Therapy Association has decided to play when it comes to certifying financial therapists. So backing up with the question that I started with is, who provides financial therapy? You could get it from financial planners who, again, understand the technical side of financial planning, but also integrate emotional and behavioral insights into their work. You could find it from a mental health professional, which include therapists, counselors, social workers, who specialize in helping clients navigate emotional challenges related to money. Who, again, it's so important that if you're going to a financial planner, you're going to a mental health professional, that they first hold themselves out to be a financial therapist, and second, have done training in the side that they don't hold the degree in or the certification in. And that's where someone who is a certified financial therapist can help, because at least the low bar, and a certification is always a low bar, says they've met certain qualifications to where they know something about each area. And then a third area to look is somebody who's a coach. And this would be somebody who's certified as a coach. And if they have training in the financial side, this is a pretty powerful combination. What we're seeing more and more come up are folks who have neither a certification in financial planning or a formal degree, and don't have a formal degree in therapy. And at some point in time in the future, there'll be a financial therapist degree that a person may actually not have either a degree in either of the extreme fields, pure CFP, pure mental health, but they'll have training that will empower them to know a lot about each area, to where maybe in the future a certified financial therapist degree will actually be the equivalent of adding a CFP and a master's in counseling or marriage and family therapy. Maybe they'll have to go through the same classes to get that degree. We are nowhere near having such a degree developed right now. Maybe we're looking at 20 years from now, maybe. We'll see. So, if nothing else, I hope that I've left you with the clarity that you've got to do your own due diligence. If someone says they're a financial therapist, it doesn't mean a lot until you take a look under the hood and you find out what education they have and who their clientele is, and look at their experience. So you really have to do your work. But it is just so important that they have a combination of financial and therapeutic expertise. Okay, so how do I find one? Well, we've talked a lot about looking for the credentials, right? CFT, Certified Financial Therapist, is a great credential to look at. If I was looking for a financial therapist, that's the first thing I'd be looking for, is a Certified Financial Therapist designation. Full disclosure, I am one. I think a person, it's not the be-all end-all. To not be certified as a financial therapist does not mean the person is not qualified or isn't a good financial therapist. I really want to make that clear. Because, again, going back to what I said, if they have formal training in both areas, they can be phenomenal financial therapists. I think of somebody who's relatively well known in the financial therapy fields, Barry Tesler. Her husband actually came up with the term financial therapy back in, 2001, 2002, sometime in that era. Barry has been on the podcast, is a trained somatic therapist and a trained bookkeeper. So she would be someone that wouldn't have, say, a degree in financial planning, or she's not a CFP. She's not licensed as a therapist, although she's trained in somatic therapy. She is absolutely a skilled financial therapist, no question about it. And I think she would represent someday what the gold standard of certification will be, because she's done her own work. She's done tons of training in both the financial side and the mental health side. So, but she's not a certified financial therapist. And a person would do themselves a great disservice to pass someone like that over. So again, I want to make this really clear. And there are certified financial therapists that maybe shouldn't be, because some of the regulations were pretty loose as to what financial training was. And they're working on tightening those up. So I don't want you to be lazy, is what I'm saying. If you're looking for a financial therapist, you're going to have to look under the hood. Another thing that you want to pay attention to is any specializations that you need in a financial therapist. I mean, if you really need help with books and you've got a lot of blockages, emotional blockages around doing your books, a bookkeeper that is really trained in money and emotions would be somebody that you'd want to go to. I think of Natalie Willis in Denver. I think of Karen McCall, and those she's trained out of Washington State. I think again of Barry Tesler. There's a number. Joetta, the priestess of finance, I believe she goes by, fits in this category. So that's one thing. If you're having issues around estate planning and emotions and you're stuck on estate planning, you probably don't want to go to somebody whose expertise is in bookkeeping. If you're in all of this, you can end up addressing trauma from your childhood. And if you're aware of that, not many times when you go to financial therapy, you're not aware that what's blocking me is trauma. You probably want to go to somebody who's trained in mental health. Again, they need the financial side, or a certified IFS practitioner, or somebody who has been trained in trauma work, which would not be somebody who's trained in coaching or certified in coaching. So having an idea of what you need is helpful. And again, you may not have an idea till you get into the relationship. And if you're working with someone who is ethical trained, a real professional, if they start wandering into areas that they're not trained in, they're going to be able to refer you out. You also will want to take a look at their approach. Be sure that the methodology that they use is going to resonate with you. You have financial therapists that use a lot of MDR. You have financial therapists that use a lot of Gestalt or narrative, or in my case, IFS, internal family systems. You want to understand maybe a little bit about how they work. Are they adept at working with couples or just singles? Do they have certain communities, maybe BIPOC communities, that they're specialists in helping? So you want to take a look at their approach. So those are some of the things that come up for me. And again, the Financial Therapy Association, the FTA that I referred to a lot, they maintain a directory of financial therapist members, and almost anybody can be a member of the Financial Therapy Association. So don't let that confuse you. They also have a listing of certified financial therapists. And you can search on this when you get into their website, but it's going to take you a little time and effort to scroll down and find the right place to search for those who are certified financial therapists. I know it makes no sense, but they make it a little hard to find out, to get a list of the certified financial therapists. So that's the best place that I know of right now to go and to start sorting through the process of finding a financial therapist. Well, that's all we have time for on this episode. Next week, I'll start off with, what should you expect when you go to a financial therapist? What's the process like? It can be a black hole for so many. And so think of the time if you've never been to therapy. What's it like going to therapy? So I'll try to demystify that process and further go into a lot of the types and what you can and can't expect. So have a good week. If you need to reach out to me, Rick at Rick Kahler. I have a couple of websites, advanced-wellbeing.com, that has information on financial therapy, and then kahlerfinancial.com has more information on financial planning, and that's where both of those sites have a blog you can sign up for, and just tons and tons of information. There's 15 to 20 years of information on the Kahler Financial site when it comes to personal finance, the blog, the information, things like that. And then there are, of course, the books. I've co-authored 7, the latest being Coupleship Inc., which is all about a do-it-yourself guide for couples financial therapy. So, again, thanks for listening, and look forward to being with you next week. Thanks for joining me, Rick Kahler, for another episode of Financial Therapy. It's not just about the money. This is where I combine the nuts and bolts of financial advice with the emotions that drive making them. Remember, every financial behavior, whether it appears illogical to you or others, makes perfect sense when we understand the underlying beliefs, feelings, and thoughts. Sign up for my weekly blog at financialawakenings.com. I hope you'll join me again for our next episode.